You look tired today. I didn't like that. That was the text Noah sent me at 4:17 p.m., and I stared at it in the break room like it was something dangerous. The stupid part was, nothing had happened. Not really. He had just come into the coffee shop that morning like he always did, wearing that navy hoodie with the frayed sleeve, hair still damp like he'd rushed out after a shower, looking unfairly good for someone who claimed he wasn't a morning person. I was behind the counter trying to survive the breakfast rush, burning my hand on the espresso machine, pretending I wasn't watching the door every time the bell rang. Then Noah walked in, smiled at me like he had been looking for me specifically, and my chest did that annoying little squeeze thing I hated. "Rough morning, Miller," he said, leaning one elbow on the counter. "I'm working customer service before 9. What do you think?" He laughed under his breath, low and easy, and ordered his usual. Then, before I could ask, he added, "And an iced vanilla latte for him. Extra shot. Oat milk. No cinnamon." My coworker Madison looked at me so fast, I almost dropped the cup. "For him," she repeated, way too amused. Noah didn't even blink. He gets grumpy without caffeine. The way he said it was casual. Too casual. Like he had the right to know that about me. Like it was normal for him to remember my exact order, my mood, my caffeine habits, and say it in front of people. I forced a laugh because that was what I did when my body forgot how to act. "I'm not grumpy." Madison snorted. "You absolutely are." Noah's smile shifted a little, softer around the edges. "Only when he's tired." I looked down at the register because my face felt warm. It probably meant nothing. Noah was nice to everyone. That was his thing. He remembered birthdays, helped people move, gave rides home without making it weird. He was the kind of guy who made kindness look effortless, which was honestly rude, because it gave people like me hope when we had no business having any. Especially because Noah was straight. At least, that was the rule everyone seemed to agree on. He dated girls. He talked about girls. Our friends joked about setting him up with girls. So I had spent almost a year training myself not to read into anything. A coffee order was not a confession. A smile was not a signal. A guy knowing you hated cinnamon did not mean he wanted you. I handed him his drink, and our fingers brushed around the plastic cup. Tiny contact. Nothing dramatic. But he didn't pull away right away. His thumb stayed against mine for maybe half a second too long, and my stomach dropped like my body had received information my brain refused to process. Noah looked at our hands. Then at me. The shop noise kept going around us. Blenders, steam, people talking, the bell over the door. But for 1 second, it felt like someone turned the volume down. "You good?" His voice was quieter now. "Yeah." I pulled my hand back too fast. "Just hot." He glanced at the iced drink in my hand. "That's cold." "The machine." I meant the machine. Madison made a sound behind me that I was absolutely going to pretend I didn't hear. Noah's mouth twitched, but he didn't tease me. Somehow that made it worse. He just reached across the counter and brushed something from my wrist with his thumb. A little smear of whipped cream from the drink I had made before his. That was all. A normal thing. A small thing. But his hand was warm, and his eyes stayed on my skin for a second before lifting to my face. I stopped breathing like an idiot. "You had something there." "Thanks." My voice came out weird. "Thin." He noticed. Of course he did. Noah always noticed too much. A customer behind him cleared her throat, and the moment snapped. He stepped aside, took both drinks, and before leaving, set mine near the pickup counter where I could grab it between orders. "Drink that before you start glaring at innocent people." "I don't glare." He backed toward the door, smiling. "Sure, Ethan." Then he left, and I spent the rest of my shift telling myself it was nothing. The coffee, the touch, the way he looked at me like he knew when I was lying. All of it was nothing. By the time I finally checked my phone during break, I had almost convinced myself. Almost. Then I saw his message. "You look tired today." I didn't like that. No joke after it. No laughing emoji. Just those words sitting there on my screen. Way too careful. Way too close. My heart started pounding so hard I had to set the phone face down on the table. Madison walked in 2 seconds later, took one look at me, and narrowed her eyes. "Was that your boyfriend?" I laughed immediately. Too fast. "No," she raised both hands. "Okay." But she was smiling. I picked up my phone again, stared at Noah's message, and typed 3 different replies before deleting all of them. Because the truth was simple. Noah Brooks was not my boyfriend. He wasn't even close. The problem was, lately, he kept acting like he was. The worst thing about having a crush on Noah Brooks was that he made it feel reasonable. Not easy. Not safe. Reasonable. Like maybe I was not completely insane for noticing the way he always found me in a room first. Or how he remembered tiny things I barely remembered telling him. Or how, whenever our friend group went somewhere crowded, he somehow ended up beside me like it was assigned seating. I knew the facts. Noah was straight. Everyone knew that. Madison once tried to set him up with her cousin from Milwaukee, and he had actually gone on the date. He had an ex-girlfriend named Rachel who still liked his Instagram stories. He understood football, owned too many flannels, and had that relaxed, golden retriever confidence people automatically trusted. None of that proved anything, obviously. But in my head, it became evidence. A wall I could point to whenever my feelings got too loud. See? Straight. Stop being weird. Move on. Except Noah kept doing things that made moving on feel like trying to ignore a fire alarm. 2 nights after the coffee shop thing, our group met at this little burger place near Logan Square. It was supposed to be casual. Madison, her roommate Kira, our friend Josh, Noah, and me. I got there late because my shift ran over, and by the time I walked in, everyone had already claimed a booth. There was one empty spot left, right beside Noah. Of course. He looked up before anyone else did, like he had been waiting for the door. Finally, I slid into the booth, trying not to bump his knee. I failed. His leg was warm against mine under the table, and he did not move it. You started without me? Josh was about to eat the napkins. Noah pushed a basket of fries toward me. I saved you some. Madison leaned over her drink with a grin. He guarded those like a divorced dad protecting custody rights. They are good fries. Noah picked one up and held it out without thinking. Try it with the sauce. I stared at the fry, then at him. He blinked, like he had just realized what he was doing. The table went quiet in that awful way where everyone pretends not to notice while absolutely noticing. What? Noah's smile came back, but it was smaller. You scared of Chipotle mayo now? I should have taken the fry with my hand. Normal people did that. Instead, panic made me lean forward and bite the end of it because my brain apparently wanted me dead. Madison made a tiny choking sound into her straw. Noah did not laugh. That was the problem. He just watched me for half a second too long, eyes dropping to my mouth before snapping back up. My chest tightened so fast I had to reach for my water. It is good, I managed. Told you. His voice sounded different. Lower maybe. Or maybe I was losing it. Josh started talking about some disaster at work, and the table moved on, but Noah's knee stayed against mine. Then his arm went along the back of the booth. Not around me. Not exactly. Just behind me. Close enough that his sleeve brushed my shoulder whenever he shifted. I told myself it was nothing. Booths were small. He was comfortable. He did that with everyone. Except when Kira got up to use the bathroom and left more space on his other side. Noah still did not move. Halfway through dinner, my phone buzzed. A message from Tyler, a guy who came into the shop sometimes. Nothing serious. Just, you working tomorrow? I guess I smiled without meaning to, because Noah looked down at my screen. Not obviously. Just enough. Who is that? A customer. Customers text you now? I locked my phone. Some of them are friendly. Noah leaned back, jaw shifting slightly. Friendly. Madison's eyes flicked between us like she had just found free entertainment. I kicked her under the table. She kicked me back harder. After dinner, we all stood outside in the cold, arguing about where to go next. I shoved my hands into my jacket pockets because I had forgotten gloves. Noah noticed before I even said anything. He stepped closer, shoulder brushing mine. You are freezing. I am fine. Your ears are red. That is just my face. He smiled, but he was already pulling one of his hands from his hoodie pocket. For a second, I thought he was going to offer me his hand, and my whole body went stupid. Instead, he took the beanie off his own head and pulled it down over mine. Just like that, in front of everyone. His fingers grazed my temples, gentle and slow, and when he finished, his hand stayed there for one extra beat. There. Nobody said anything. Not right away. Noah's eyes held mine, and the sidewalk seemed too quiet for a Chicago Friday night. Then Madison ruined my ability to breathe. You two act like you are already dating. I laughed because I had to. We do not. Noah looked at me, then at Madison. He should have denied it. He should have made a joke that put the wall back up. Instead, he shrugged, one corner of his mouth lifting. Maybe I am auditioning. Everyone laughed. I laughed too, but it came out wrong. Because Noah was still looking at me. Like the joke had not been for them at all. By Saturday night, I had made a very serious decision. I was going to stop being weird about Noah. No more analyzing texts. No more replaying the beanie thing like a crime scene. No more wondering what "maybe I am auditioning" meant, because obviously it meant nothing. Noah liked messing with people. He liked making everyone laugh. I was just the idiot who turned it into a whole emotional crisis. That decision lasted about 12 minutes. Madison had invited everyone to her apartment for game night, which usually meant cheap wine, loud arguments over rules, and Josh accusing everyone of cheating even when he was losing because he could not spell. I showed up with a six-pack and a bag of tortilla chips, feeling almost normal. Then Noah opened the door. Not Madison. Noah. He was barefoot, sleeves pushed up, holding a dish towel like he lived there. Hey. My brain went completely blank for half a second. You do not live here. Good observation. He stepped aside to let me in. Madison burned the first batch of sliders, so I took over before she poisoned us. From the kitchen, Madison yelled, "I heard that. Husband number 2. Noah did not even look away from me. She is mad because I improved morale. I walked past him, and his hand landed lightly between my shoulder blades for 1 second as he guided me inside. Just 1 second. Nothing. Except my whole body noticed it. The apartment was warm and crowded, music playing low from the TV, people already yelling over a card game on the coffee table. I tried to sit in the armchair, safely away from Noah, but Josh threw his jacket on at first. Reserved for my emotional support hoodie. That is not a thing. It is tonight. Which left the couch. Beside Noah. Again. I sat down carefully, keeping a respectable inch of space between us like that would save me. Noah glanced at the gap, then at me. His mouth twitched. You afraid I bite? I almost choked on air. What? You are sitting like there is a legal boundary. Madison looked up from shuffling cards. Maybe there should be. You two have been one rainstorm away from a Hallmark movie all week. Everyone laughed. I laughed too fast. Can we not? Noah did not laugh right away. That was what got me. He just looked at me, expression unreadable, like he was checking whether the joke actually bothered me. Then he leaned back and stretched one arm along the back of the couch. Relax. Ethan is just dramatic. The word just should have helped. It should have made everything normal. Instead, his fingers brushed the back of my hoodie, light enough that maybe it was an accident, slow enough that maybe it was not. We started playing. I barely paid attention. Every time I reached for a card, Noah's knee shifted against mine. Every time someone made a joke, he glanced at me first to see if I laughed. At one point, Madison accused me of hiding cards because I was too quiet, and Noah immediately leaned forward. He is not cheating. He looks guilty when he cheats. I stared at him. How would you know that? Poker night at Josh's. Last month. You remember my cheating face? I remember a lot of your faces. The room went weirdly still. Not silent exactly. Just thinner. Like everyone heard what he said and decided not to touch it. My pulse jumped so hard I had to look down at my cards. Noah cleared his throat and grabbed his drink. That sounded less creepy in my head. Josh pointed a chip at him. No, it did not. Madison was smiling into her cup like she knew something I did not. I wanted to disappear. I also wanted Noah to say it again. Later, when the game broke apart and everyone drifted into different corners of the apartment, I escaped to the kitchen for water. I needed 5 minutes without his shoulder near mine, without people watching us like we were an unfinished episode. I stood at the sink, breathing slowly, telling myself for the 100th time that Noah was straight, friendly, unserious. Then he walked in behind me. Of course he did. You got quiet. I kept my eyes on the glass. I am always quiet. Not with me. That hit too close, so I turned around too quickly. He was standing by the counter, closer than I expected, the kitchen light catching the tired softness in his eyes. Why do you do that? The words left my mouth before I could stop them. Noah's brows pulled in slightly. Do what? Act like you know me better than everyone. The apartment noise faded behind the wall. Noah looked at me for a long second. Then his gaze dropped to my hand gripping the glass too tightly. He reached out, not fast, not careless, and touched 2 fingers to my wrist. Because maybe I pay attention. I should have moved. I did not. His thumb shifted once against my skin, barely there, and my chest tightened so hard it almost hurt. Noah. My voice sounded like a warning. Or a question. He swallowed, eyes lifting back to mine. For a second, I thought he might step closer. For a second, I think he wanted to. Then Madison called from the living room. Are you two making out or getting water? I jerked back like I had been caught stealing. Noah let his hand fall, but he did not laugh. Not this time. He just looked toward the doorway, then back at me, something tense and almost scared crossing his face. We should go back. I nodded because speaking felt impossible. But when we returned to the living room, Noah sat beside me again. And under the throw blanket Madison tossed over both our laps, his hand found my knee. Not by accident. Not this time. And he left it there. The hand on my knee lasted maybe 10 seconds. Maybe 30. Honestly, my sense of time got useless the second Noah touched me, like he had decided not to pretend it was an accident anymore. Madison was explaining the rules to some new card game nobody understood. Josh was complaining from the floor. Kira was laughing at something on her phone. Normal stuff. Loud stuff. But all I could feel was Noah's hand under that stupid throw blanket, warm and steady, resting just above my knee like it belonged there. I kept staring at the cards in my lap, not reading a single one. My heart was doing this embarrassing, uneven thing, and every rational thought I had was screaming at me to move, to shift away, to make a joke, to do literally anything before I started believing this meant what I wanted it to mean. Then Noah's thumb moved. Barely. Just once, a slow brush over the denim of my jeans. My throat went dry. I looked at him. Big mistake. He was already looking at me. Not smiling. Not teasing. His face was calm, but his eyes were not. There was something nervous there, something careful, like he was waiting to see if I would pull away. I did not. That was the problem. I did not pull away. I think he noticed, because his shoulders loosened just a little. Then Madison threw a pillow at Josh. Everyone started yelling, and Noah leaned closer like he was trying to hear me over the noise. You okay? His voice was low enough that nobody else heard. I nodded too fast. Yeah. You sure? I wanted to say no. I wanted to say, you are touching me like I am yours, and I do not know what to do with that. Instead, I swallowed and forced out. You are making it hard to focus. Something changed in his face. Just a flicker, but I saw it. His fingers went still on my knee. Am I? It should have sounded like a joke. It did not. I looked away first because I was a coward. Do not start. He huffed a quiet laugh, but it came out shaky. I did not start anything. You literally did. Did I? His hand shifted, not higher, not inappropriate, just turning slightly like he might take my hand instead. My stomach flipped. Under the blanket, his fingers found mine. Not fully, just the edge of my hand. A question more than a touch. I stopped breathing. Across the room, Madison stood up to refill drinks. Nobody was looking at us for once. Nobody was making jokes. Nobody was saving me from myself. Noah's pinky hooked lightly around mine, so small it almost hurt. I stared down at the blanket like I could see through it. Like I needed proof this was real. Ethan, my name in his voice, did something unfair to me. I turned my head. He was close now. Too close for a couch full of friends. Close enough that I could see the tiny freckle near his left eye. Close enough that his knee pressed harder against mine. His gaze dropped for half a second, then came back up like he regretted it. My chest tightened. This was the part where a normal person would ask what was happening. But I already knew if I asked, he might deny it. Or worse, he might not. Why are you doing this? I whispered. Noah's face went still. Behind us, someone laughed at the television. In front of me, Noah looked like I had just pulled a wire loose inside him. His hand stayed linked with mine under the blanket. I do not know, he admitted. It was the first honest thing either of us had said all night. It should have made me feel better. It did not. That is not fair. His eyes softened, and for a second, he looked guilty. I know. But he did not let go. That made it worse. That made it better. I hated both. Madison's voice cut through the room suddenly. Who wants another beer? Noah's hand dropped from mine so fast it left my skin cold. I sat back, pretending to check my phone, pretending my whole body was not buzzing. Madison walked in front of us with 2 bottles, paused, and narrowed her eyes. Why do you both look like I interrupted a federal crime? Because Josh is cheating, Noah answered immediately. Too quick. Too normal. Josh threw up both hands. I'm not even playing right now. Everyone laughed. I tried to laugh too, but my voice barely worked. A few minutes later, I got up and said I needed air. The apartment suddenly felt too warm, too loud, too full of people who almost saw me fall apart over a pinky touch. I stepped out into the hallway and leaned against the wall near the stairs, dragging a hand over my face. I had just started breathing normally when the door opened behind me. Noah slipped out and closed it softly. Of course he did. For a second, neither of us said anything. The hallway smelled like old carpet and someone's takeout downstairs. A neighbor's dog barked behind a door. Noah stood a few feet away, hands in his hoodie pocket, looking less confident than I had ever seen him. I should not have done that in there. I nodded, staring at the floor. Probably not. Did I make you uncomfortable? I looked up then. He sounded genuinely worried, and that almost broke me more than the touch had. No, the answer came out too fast, too honest. His eyes held mine. Then what did I make you? My mouth opened. Nothing came out. That question landed right in the middle of every feeling I had been trying to bury for a year. Nervous, hopeful, terrified, stupid. Yours, maybe, if I was being pathetic about it. But I could not say any of that. Noah stepped closer, slowly, careful, like I might disappear if he moved wrong. Ethan. My back was against the wall now. He was not touching me, but somehow the space between us felt worse. Smaller, charged. His eyes moved over my face, searching, waiting. I thought he was going to say it. Whatever it was. The thing both of us kept walking around. Instead, the apartment door swung open. Madison stuck her head out, eyebrows raised. Seriously? Hallway conference. Noah stepped back so fast it almost looked guilty. I turned toward the stairs, heat climbing up my neck. Madison looked between us, smile fading just a little, like even she knew not to joke this time. We are ordering wings. You coming back in? Noah answered first. Yeah, in a minute. The door closed again, but the moment was already gone. Noah looked at me one last time, jaw tight, like he wanted to reach for me and knew he should not. We should go back. I nodded, but as we walked inside, I knew something had changed. Not enough to name, not enough to trust, but enough that when Noah sat beside me again, he left an inch of space between us. And somehow, that hurt worse than his hand on my knee. By Monday morning, I had decided the hallway thing was never happening again. Not because I wanted that, because wanting had clearly become the problem. I spent the whole weekend replaying Noah's question until it started sounding fake in my head. Then what did I make you? Like he had any right to ask that while standing close enough to make my knees forget their job. Like he had any right to touch my hand under a blanket. Almost say something in a hallway, then sit 1 inch away from me like distance could erase it. So I did what any mature 24-year-old with a secret crush would do. I avoided him. Not dramatically. I was not blocking doors or diving behind parked cars. I just replied slower. Took longer shifts. Sat beside Madison instead of him in group chats and real life. If no one noticed, he did not say anything at first, which somehow made me feel worse. On Wednesday afternoon, Tyler came into the coffee shop during my break. He was one of those customers who always looked like he had just left a campus tour brochure. Clean jacket, easy smile, polite enough that Madison kept whispering. He is cute and employed, Ethan. Be brave. He ordered a cold brew, then leaned near the end of the counter while I wiped down the pastry case. So, are you ever going to let me buy you coffee somewhere you do not work? I almost laughed because the line was bad, but his face was open and nervous in a way that made it harder to joke. You know I get free coffee here, right? Then dinner. Madison dropped a stack of napkins behind me for no reason at all, subtle as a car crash. I gave her a look. She gave me 2 thumbs up and walked away. Tyler smiled. No pressure. Just figured I would ask. I opened my mouth, and before I could answer, the bell over the door rang. I knew it was Noah before I turned. I hated that I knew. He walked in wearing his black jacket, hands tucked in his pockets, eyes finding me immediately. Then his gaze shifted to Tyler. The change was small, so small anyone else might have missed it. His jaw tightened. His shoulders went still. Tyler looked between us, friendly but curious. Hey. Noah nodded once. Hey. Not rude. Not warm either. I wiped my hands on a towel, even though they were already dry. You are early. Meeting got canceled. His eyes moved back to me. Thought I would grab you before your shift ended. Tyler's eyebrows lifted slightly. Grab you. My stomach sank. Noah heard it too. For half a second, he looked almost caught. Then he stepped closer to the counter, calm as ever. We had plans. We did not have plans. At all. Madison appeared behind me like she had been summoned by drama. Did you? Her voice was sweet. Dangerous. Noah did not look away from me. I thought we did. There it was again. That thing he did. Making something sound like a question and a claim at the same time. Tyler gave a small laugh, but it was awkward now. Sorry, man. I did not realize. I could have fixed it. I could have said, no, it is not like that. Noah is just my friend. Noah is straight. Noah does weird things he refuses to explain. But the words jammed somewhere in my throat, because Noah was watching me like he wanted me to correct him and feared I actually would. Madison crossed her arms. Ethan, great. Perfect. Now I had an audience. He crept up my neck. Tyler, can I think about dinner? His smile softened, but he glanced at Noah once more before nodding. Yeah, of course. He took his drink and left with a small wave, and the second the door closed, the shop felt too quiet. Madison did not even pretend to be busy. Well, I turned on Noah. What was that? His expression flickered. What was what? Do not do that. My voice came out lower than I meant it to. Noah looked toward Madison, then back at me. Can we talk outside? No, you can explain here. Madison raised a hand. For the record, I support explaining here. I shot her a look. She grabbed a rag and slowly moved 3 feet away, absolutely still listening. Noah dragged a hand through his hair, frustration finally cracking through. I did not like him asking you out. There it was. Plain. Too plain. My heart kicked once hard. Why? He looked at me like the answer should have been obvious. Then he looked away, and that hurt more than it should have. I do not know. I let out a short laugh with no humor in it. You keep saying that. Because it is true. Noah, you cannot act jealous and then hide behind not knowing. His eyes snapped back to mine. Something in them was scared now. Not of me. Of the room. Of Madison hearing. Of the word jealous sitting between us like a match near gasoline. Keep your voice down. That landed badly. I stepped back, chest tightening. Right. His face changed immediately. Ethan, that is not what I meant. But it was too late. Madison had gone quiet behind us. The espresso machine hissed. A customer laughed at a table near the window, completely unaware my stomach had just dropped through the floor. Noah reached toward me, then stopped himself before touching my arm. That almost hurt worse. I am trying, he said, barely above a whisper. I just do not know how to do this with people watching. I looked at him, really looked at him, and for the first time I saw it clearly. He was not just confused. He was scared of being seen. And maybe I understood that. Maybe I understood it too well. But understanding did not make it hurt less. Then stop making me feel like I am yours in public, I said quietly. If you are going to act like I embarrassed you when someone notices. Noah went still. Madison whispered my name like a warning, but I was already moving. I grabbed my jacket from the hook near the back and pushed through the side door into the alley, cold air hitting my face hard. I expected Noah to follow. Part of me wanted him to. But the door stayed closed. And that was the first time all week I wondered if maybe I had not imagined the boyfriend part. Maybe I had only imagined that he was brave enough to mean it. Noah did not follow me into the alley. That was the part one kept replaying on the walk home. Not Tyler. Not Madison's face. Not even Noah saying, keep your voice down, like I was something he needed to manage. Just the door behind me staying shut. I told myself that should have made things easier. Clearer. Maybe this was the line I needed. Maybe I could finally stop turning every look into a question and every touch into evidence. By the time I got to my apartment, my hands were numb from the cold and my phone had buzzed 6 times. 3 texts from Madison. 1 from Josh about wings on Friday, because apparently the universe had a cruel sense of timing. 2 from Noah. I stood in my kitchen with my jacket still on, staring at his name until the screen went dark. Then bright again. Ethan, please answer. Then another one. I did not want you to leave. That one got me. I hated that it got me. I threw my phone onto the counter like it had burned me, then immediately picked it back up because I had no self-respect where Noah Brooks was involved. I typed, you let me. Deleted it. Typed, you embarrassed me. Deleted that too. Finally, I locked the screen and walked away. Mature. Very stable. 10 minutes later, there was a knock at my door. Not loud. Not dramatic. Just 2 careful knocks. Like whoever stood there was not sure he deserved to be let in. My chest tightened before I even checked the peephole. Noah stood in the hallway, hair messy from the wind, black jacket zipped halfway, hands shoved into his pockets like he was physically stopping himself from doing something stupid. I opened the door, but did not move aside. How did you get in? Mrs. Alvarez downstairs was taking out recycling. His mouth twitched like he wanted to make a joke, but the look on my face killed it. She still thinks I am your boyfriend, by the way. That should have been funny. It was not. I crossed my arms. Do you correct her? Noah looked down. And there it was. The answer before the words. My stomach dropped. No, his voice was quiet. No, I do not. The hallway felt too narrow, too bright, too much like that moment at Madison's apartment. Except this time nobody could interrupt us unless Mrs. Alvarez decided to drag another bag of bottles outside. I stepped back because leaving him in the hall felt worse than letting him in. Noah entered slowly, like the apartment might reject him. He stopped near the kitchen counter and did not sit. Good. Sitting would have made it feel normal, and nothing about us felt normal anymore. I am sorry. He said it without looking away. No joke. No shrug. No easy Noah smile. I should have followed you. I laughed once, sharp and tired. Yeah, you probably should have. He took that. Just nodded. I panicked. Because Madison heard? Because everyone heard. His jaw worked for a second. Because Tyler looked at me like I was your boyfriend, and part of me wanted him to think that. And then Madison was watching, and you were looking at me like you needed me to say something real. My breath caught. Noah noticed. Of course he did. He always noticed the damage after causing it. And I froze, he finished. The apartment went quiet except for the hum of the refrigerator. I leaned back against the counter across from him, keeping space between us because I did not trust myself with less. You wanted him to think that? Noah rubbed both hands over his face, exhaling hard. When he dropped them, he looked younger somehow. Less sure. I did not like him asking you out. You said that already. No, Ethan. His voice cracked just enough to make my chest hurt. I mean, I really did not like it. I hated standing there while he looked at you like he had a chance. I stared at him. My heart started pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. He does have a chance. I am single. Noah flinched like I had touched a bruise. I know. Then why do you care? He looked away toward my living room, at the couch where we had watched movies with friends, at the blanket folded over the armrest, at all the normal pieces of my life he had somehow made dangerous. Because I think about you all the time. The words landed softly. That made them worse. I did not move. I did not even blink. Noah swallowed, then gave this small, helpless laugh that did not sound amused at all. And I keep telling myself I do not. I keep telling myself I am just being protective, or used to you, or whatever excuse makes me feel less insane. But then you smile at some guy in your coffee shop, and I feel like I am about to crawl out of my skin. My throat tightened. Noah. I know. He looked back at me then, eyes tired and scared and open in a way I had never seen before. I know this is messy. I know I have been unfair. I know I keep acting like your boyfriend, and then getting scared when people notice. His hands came out of his pockets, but he did not reach for me. He just stood there, letting the words do what his hands had been doing all week. But I was not joking. At Madison's. In the hallway. At the shop. I was not joking, Ethan. The room felt like it tilted a little. I gripped the edge of the counter behind me. Then what were you doing? Noah's eyes held mine. No escape this time. Trying to figure out why it felt real. I hated how badly I wanted to cross the room. I hated how my body softened before my brain gave permission. And his voice dropped. It still does. For a second, neither of us moved. The distance between us stayed the same, but something in it changed. It was not safe yet. It was not solved. But it was no longer only mine. Noah looked down at my hand gripping the counter, then back at my face. I do not want to go back to normal. My chest tightened. Normal was easier. Yeah. A sad little smile pulled at his mouth. But I hated it. I looked at him, at the guy I had spent almost a year trying not to want, standing in my kitchen finally looking as lost as he had made me feel. And for the first time, I believed him. Not completely. Not enough to stop being scared. But enough to make the silence between us feel less like an ending and more like a door neither of us knew how to open yet. For one stupid second, I thought Noah saying it felt real would fix everything. Like the kitchen would stop feeling too small. Like my chest would stop hurting. Like the past week of mixed signals would suddenly line up into something clean and easy. It did not. Noah stayed for maybe 20 more minutes, and we talked in circles because neither of us knew what came next. He apologized again. I said I believed him. He looked relieved for about half a second, then scared all over again. When he finally left, he paused at my door like he wanted to hug me. I wanted it too, which was exactly why I stepped back first. Get home safe. His face shifted, just a little. Yeah. Then he nodded and walked away. The second the door closed, I hated myself. The next morning, everything was worse because nothing was technically wrong. Noah texted me before work. Morning. Hope you slept. I stared at it while brushing my teeth. toothpaste foam still in my mouth, feeling like an idiot. Hope you slept. Not I meant what I said. Not let us talk more. Not I am scared, but I am still here. Just normal words from a guy who had stood in my kitchen and told me he thought about me all the time. I typed, barely. Then deleted it. I typed, did you regret coming over? Deleted that too. Finally I sent, yeah, you? His reply came 5 minutes later. Kind of. I read it 3 times before my stomach dropped. Kind of he slept? Kind of he regretted it? Kind of everything felt real? I knew I was overthinking. I could practically hear Madison yelling that from across the city. But when someone has spent a week touching your hand, acting jealous, and then looking terrified of being seen, 2 vague words can ruin your whole morning. By lunch, I had convinced myself he was pulling back. By 3, I had proof, or at least my brain called it proof. Noah did not come by the coffee shop. He usually did on Thursdays. Not always, but often enough that I noticed when he did not. He also did not answer my last text for 4 hours. 4 hours is normal for adults with jobs. 4 hours is also plenty of time to decide you made a mistake. Madison found me aggressively wiping the same counter for the 5th time. You are going to sand the wood down with that rag. It is sticky. It is spotless. She leaned her hip against the counter, watching me too carefully. Did something happen with Noah after I left yesterday? I kept wiping. No, Ethan. Madison. Fine. Be emotionally constipated. But for the record, he looked miserable after you left. That made my hand stop. What? At the shop. After you walked out. Her voice softened, which was rare and therefore dangerous. He looked like he wanted to follow you and did not know if he was allowed. I swallowed. He came over later. Her eyes widened. And you were not going to lead with that? It was confusing. Everything with you too is confusing. That is your brand. I laughed despite myself, but it barely lasted. He said it felt real. Madison went still. Then, softer, and I looked down. And this morning he said kind of. She blinked. Kind of what? Exactly. She closed her eyes like she was praying for strength. Before she could lecture me, the bell over the door rang. I looked up too fast. It was not Noah. It was Tyler. And because my life had apparently turned into punishment, he smiled at me like he was happy to see me. Hey, bad time, Madison muttered, unbelievable, and vanished into the back. Tyler stepped closer to the counter, holding his cold brew from somewhere else, which felt vaguely disloyal. I just wanted to say sorry if I made things weird the other day. My throat tightened. You did not. Your friend seemed pretty upset. Noah gets weird sometimes. Tyler gave me a careful look. Is he your friend? I hated how gentle the question was. I hated that I did not know how to answer it. Yeah. The word felt thin. He is my friend. Tyler nodded, but his eyes said he did not believe me. Okay. Well, dinner offer still stands. No pressure. I should have said no. I should have been clear. But hurt people do stupid things, and I was hurt enough to want proof that someone could ask for me without needing a translation guide. Maybe, I said. Tyler smiled. Maybe is better than no. The bell rang again. This time, it was Noah. Of course it was. He stopped just inside the door, eyes moving from Tyler to me, then back to Tyler's smile. I watched him understand the scene in the worst possible way. His face closed. Not angry. Not exactly. More like he had put a wall up so fast I could feel the air change. Tyler glanced over his shoulder. Hey, man. Noah nodded once. Hey. Then he looked at me. I can come back. Panic rose in my chest. Noah. It is fine. His voice was too even. Too polite. I did not realize you were busy. Tyler looked uncomfortable now. I was just leaving. You do not have to. Noah's eyes stayed on me, and there was something wounded under the calm that made my stomach twist. I am not interrupting. Then he turned and walked out. No waiting. No sarcastic comment. No second glance. Just gone. I moved before thinking, pushing around the counter, but Madison appeared from the back and caught my arm. Do not chase him angry. I am not angry. You are scared. That is worse. Through the window, I saw Noah reach the sidewalk, pause, and rub a hand over his face. For 1 second, I thought he might turn back. He did not. He kept walking, and I realized the misunderstanding had done exactly what both of us were afraid of. It gave him a reason to believe I was moving on, and it gave me a reason to believe he wanted me to. I did not chase Noah out of the shop. I wanted to. My body actually leaned toward the door before my brain caught up. But Madison's hand stayed around my arm, not tight, just enough to make me stop and breathe. Give him 5 minutes, she murmured. Then talk like adults. I hate when you are right. Everyone does. Tyler left quietly after that, looking like he had accidentally walked into the third act of a movie. I barely noticed. For the next 2 hours, I made drinks on autopilot, spilled oat milk twice, and burned my thumb on a cup sleeve, which should not even be possible. Noah did not text. Neither did I. By the time my shift ended, Chicago had gone cold and gray outside, the kind of evening where the wind pushed straight through your jacket. I stood by the employee exit with my phone in my hand, staring at Noah's name. Then the message came in before I could send mine. Can we stop doing this? My stomach dropped. For a second, I thought he meant us. Whatever us was. Then another bubble appeared. The pretending thing. I closed my eyes. My thumb hovered over the screen. Where are you? His reply came fast. Your alley. Not creepy. Just cold. I pushed through the side door so quickly it slammed against the brick. Noah was standing near the dumpster, hands tucked under his arms, breath visible in the air. He looked tired. Not messy exactly. Just worn down, like he had spent the whole afternoon fighting with himself and lost. Your alley. I tried to sound normal. It came out thin. Romantic, right? His mouth twitched, then faded. Sorry. I did not know where else to stand. I stayed by the door, keeping a few feet between us. Safer that way. Noah noticed the distance. His eyes dropped to the pavement before coming back to mine. Tyler seems nice. Do not do that. Do what? Act calm when you are not. That landed. His jaw tightened, and for once he did not dodge it with a joke. Fine. I hated seeing him with you. You left. Because I thought I had no right to hate it. The alley went quiet except for traffic passing at the end of the block. I folded my arms, mostly to keep my hands from shaking. You keep deciding what you are allowed to feel, then making me deal with the fallout. Noah looked down. I know. No. I need you to actually hear me. My voice cracked on the last word, and I hated it. You come close. Then you panic. You act jealous. Then you disappear. You touch me like it means something. Then look scared when someone else notices. His face tightened with every sentence, but he did not interrupt. And I am trying so hard not to make this weird because I know what everyone thinks you are. I know what you thought you were. But I cannot keep being the place you test your feelings and then run from. Noah went still. Really still. Like the words had hit exactly where I needed them to. His hands came out of his pockets slowly. He took one step closer, then stopped when I did not move. You are not a test. His voice was rough. Then what am I? He looked at me for a long second. No smile. No easy answer. The reason I finally have to be honest. My chest tightened. I wanted to believe him so badly it made me angry. Honest how? Noah rubbed a hand over his mouth, looking away toward the street, then back at me like he was choosing not to escape this time. I was scared today because I saw Tyler and thought, that is what it would look like if Ethan chose someone who is not confused. Someone who can ask him out in public and not freeze like an idiot. His laugh was small and broken, and I hated him for being able to do that. Noah. I know. He stepped closer again. Still careful. I know I have been unfair. I know saying I am confused does not erase what I have done, but I am not confused about you. The words sat between us, simple and impossible. My throat went tight. Do not say that if you are going to take it back tomorrow. His eyes softened. I am not. You do not know that. I know I did not sleep last night because I thought I ruined this. His hand lifted, then stopped halfway between us. Not touching. Asking. I know I went to your shop today because I missed you so bad I felt stupid. I know when Madison joked about us, I got scared, but when Tyler looked at you, I got more scared. And I know normal feels wrong now. I looked at his hand, then at his face. What do you want from me? Noah swallowed. A chance to stop acting like this is nothing. The wind moved between us. Cold. Sharp. I should have said something smart. I should have protected myself better. Instead, I whispered. And what does that mean? Noah's fingers curled slightly, like he was fighting the urge to reach for me. It means I want to take you out. Not as a joke. Not because the group is going. Not because I happen to be nearby. His eyes held mine. A real date. My whole body went quiet. That was the only way to describe it. The fear did not vanish. The hurt did not magically heal. But underneath it, something warm opened so carefully I almost missed it. You are asking me in an alley beside a dumpster. Noah glanced around, then gave the smallest smile. I know. I am killing the romance. I laughed, and it came out shaky but real. His face changed when he heard it, relief flickering through him like light. I took one step closer. Not all the way. Just enough. I need you to not hide me when people notice. Noah nodded immediately. I know. And I need you to stop making me guess. I can do that. Noah. He held my gaze. I will do that. The difference mattered. I let my hand drop between us. He saw it. His breath caught. Barely, but he waited. This time, he let me choose. So I reached first. My fingers slid into his, cold skin meeting cold skin, and his hand closed around mine like he had been trying not to do it for days. Neither of us moved for a second. The alley was ugly. The air smelled like coffee grounds and rain and old brick. My feet were freezing. But Noah looked at our joined hands like they were proof of something he was still learning how to believe. I am scared, he admitted. I nodded. Me too. His thumb brushed once over mine. Slow. Careful. But I do not want to run. I looked up at him, heart pounding, and for the first time all week, the silence did not feel like a trap. It felt like a pause before something honest. Then the side door opened behind me, and Madison's voice floated into the alley. Please tell me you two finally figured it out, because I am emotionally exhausted. Noah looked at me. I looked at him. And this time, neither of us let go. Madison stared at our hands for half a second, then looked up at the sky like she deserved a medal. Finally, I tried to pull my hand back out of pure reflex. Not because I wanted to, because my body still had old habits. Hide first. Explain later. Survive the joke before it becomes a question. But Noah's fingers tightened just a little. Not trapping me, just reminding me he was still there. I looked at him, and he looked nervous as hell, but he did not let go. So neither did I. Madison's face softened in a way that made me more embarrassed than her teasing ever had. You two coming inside? Or are we all freezing for character development? Noah glanced at me. He waited. That small pause mattered more than some dramatic speech would have. He was not dragging me into anything. He was not deciding for both of us. He was asking without words. I took a breath, squeezed his hand once, and stepped toward the door. We are coming in. Madison smiled like she was trying very hard not to make a sound. She failed a little. Great. I will pretend to be normal. That would be new for you. Careful, Ethan. I am still your manager for another 12 minutes. The joke helped. It made walking back into the shop feel less like a confession and more like a choice I could survive. The place was mostly empty by then. Just two students near the window and an older guy reading the paper like people still did that. The espresso machine was off. The floors smelled like mop water and coffee. Everything looked exactly the same. Only it was not. Noah stood beside me near the counter, his hand still around mine, visible now under the bright lights. Madison pretended to stack cups. Badly. Her eyes kept flicking down. Noah noticed and cleared his throat. Madison. She turned too fast. Yes, Noah Brooks, local menace. His ears went pink, and I loved that more than I had any right to. I am taking Ethan out Friday. My heart stumbled. Not because I did not know. Because he said it out loud. In the shop. To someone who knew us. With his hand still in mine. Madison leaned both hands on the counter, expression serious for about 2 seconds before she grinned. Like on purpose? Noah nodded, mouth twitching. That is usually how dates work. The word date landed between us, warm and real. I looked down, smiling despite myself. Madison pointed at him. You heard him. I put decaf in everything you order for the rest of your life. Fair. I am not kidding. I believe you. Then she pointed at me. And you. Do not overthink this so hard you turn it into a group project. I opened my mouth, then closed it, because honestly, she had me there. Noah laughed softly, and his thumb moved over mine. Small. Careful. Familiar already. Friday came slower than any Friday had a right to. Noah still texted, but differently now. Not constant. Not performative. Just clear. Morning. I am still taking you out. Then later, we're something warm. We are walking after dinner if that is okay. No guessing. No weird almost claims hidden inside jokes. Just him trying, and me learning how not to flinch at it. He picked me up at 7 in the same black jacket, holding 2 coffees from my own shop because Madison had apparently threatened him into buying them full price. She said employee discounts are not for emotional criminals. I laughed so hard some of the nervousness cracked. Sounds like her. Dinner was simple. A little Thai place with fogged windows and uneven tables. We talked about normal things first. Work. Josh's terrible fantasy football team. The woman at table 6 who kept sending back soup at the shop. Then, somewhere between Noodles and Noah stealing a piece of broccoli off my plate, the quiet came back. But it was different this time. Softer. Noah set his fork down and looked at me. I am probably going to mess this up sometimes. My chest tightened, but I did not run from it. Probably. He smiled, relieved that I did not pretend otherwise. But I am not going to make you carry the confusing part alone anymore. That one stayed with me. Not because it was perfect, because it sounded like something a real person would say when he knew sorry was not enough by itself. After dinner, we walked 3 blocks in the cold because apparently romance in Chicago required suffering. His hand brushed mine once. Then again. The third time I took it. Noah looked down, then over at me, and the smile that hid his face was so quiet it almost hurt. You good? I nodded. Yeah. Then, because I was tired of being the only one scared of saying things, I added, do not let go when we get to the corner. His fingers tightened around mine. I was not planning to, and he did not. Not when we passed a group of college guys outside a bar. Not when an older couple walked toward us on the sidewalk. Not when we reached the corner where the streetlight turned everything pale and bright and impossible to hide. He kept holding my hand like it was simple, like it was allowed, like maybe the world would keep moving even if we stopped pretending. A week later, we were back at Madison's apartment for another game night. Same couch, same loud friends, same blanket folded over the armrest. Only this time, Noah sat down beside me and did not leave space. Josh looked at us, then at Madison. Are we finally allowed to make jokes, or is this still legally sensitive? Noah leaned back, arms settling behind me, and I felt him glance over. Checking. Asking. I smiled before I could overthink it. You get 3 jokes. Madison immediately raised her hand. I have prepared a list. Everyone laughed. Noah's hand found mine on the couch, in plain view this time. No blanket. No hiding. I waited for the panic to hit. It did a little. Old habits do not disappear just because someone chooses you. But Noah's thumb brushed mine once, steady and warm, and the panic moved through me instead of staying. Looking back, that is what I remember most. Not some huge speech. Not a perfect first kiss in the rain. Just his hand in mine while our friends argued about cards, like the world had not ended. Like maybe love did not always arrive as a dramatic announcement. Sometimes it showed up as coffee you did not ask for, a beanie pulled over your ears, a jealous silence, an apology in your kitchen, a hand held openly after weeks of almost touching. Noah did not suddenly become my boyfriend. That was the scary part. I think he had been becoming mine slowly, one ordinary moment at a time. And when he finally stopped acting like it was nothing, I stopped pretending it did not mean everything.